It's a nation struggling with a faltering economy, rising inflation and corruption. And Indian voters are saying they've had enough and want a reset. In fact, most opinion polls suggest the ruling Congress party is on its way out. And the conservative opposition BJP is poised to take over. Whatever the political difference, most agree that this is perhaps India's most crucial election in a long time. It's a truly gigantic exercise. In a nation of multiple ethnic groups and languages, more than 800 million people are eligible to vote. That's 300 million more than the total population of the next three democracies, the United States, Indonesia and Brazil. For most Indians, this election is a referendum on the ruling centre-left Congress party's rule. Under Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, Congress has faced relentless criticism on many fronts. It's failed to keep food prices in check, pushing basic staples such as onions and potatoes beyond the reach of the poor. India's once robust economic growth has also slowed considerably, leading to rising unemployment, a big concern among the country's youth. The working and middle classes are also tired of the corruption scandals involving government officials and disillusioned with the Gandhi dynasty's role in Indian politics. With Singh retiring this year, the Congress is marketing another scion of that dynasty, Rahul Gandhi, as India's next Prime Minister. The opposition BJP's candidate for Prime Minister is Narendra Modi, son of a small-town tea shop owner. He's currently running the western state of Gujarat. If Modi becomes Prime Minister, he's promised to build new cities, reform tax policies, remove obstacles to business growth and improve internet access. The corporate world enthusiastically supports him, but critics say Modi's Hindu nationalist beliefs are at odds with India's secular ethos. He's accused of complicity in the Gujarat riots of 2002, where Hindu mobs killed hundreds of Muslims. Although investigations subsequently cleared Modi of wrongdoing, accusations have dogged him at every turn. We'll talk about Modi and the BJP a little later in the show, but first let's look at the last 5 years of Congress rule. Joining me now, Indian author and journalist Sadanand Dhume from the American Enterprise Institute, a conservative think tank here in Washington, D.C. Dhume specializes in South Asian politics and the economy. From New Delhi, Sanjay Kumar, professor and director of the Center for the Study of Developing Societies, a social science research institute in India. Also with us here in the studio, Chidanand Rajghatta, U.S. correspondent for the Times of India, one of the world's most widely read English language newspapers. Gentlemen, welcome to all of you. Chidanand, let me start with you. The polls at this stage are saying that Congress is heading for a comprehensive defeat. We will, of course, have to wait and see if that's borne out in the actual result, but the polls have been wrong before, haven't they?
They have, but the difference here is that in this election, I've seen no poll which has actually questioned, a BJP victory, a BJP NDA alliance victory. Almost all of them uniformly predict a BJP win. The margins vary. So what everyone is now looking at is the upper end and lower end of the spectrum. Whether the Congress party will survive with a reasonable number of seats, that it remains a viable opposition. The least the Congress party has ever got is 115 seats. Anything below that will be a devastating defeat. Anything below 100, and some polls are suggesting that they may even go sub-100, will completely decimate the party. And at the other end of the spectrum, whether BJP will go beyond 200, 220, 240, 272, remember, is the magic figure. That's what it requires to form a government. And whether the BJP will alone get 272, which would be an absolute landslide, or whether BJP with its allies can get 272, which will still be a significant victory. These are the two ends of the spectrum. And I haven't seen a poll which has said that the Congress is in with a chance. Everyone seems to have written off the Congress party. And I'm told the Congress party's internal poll itself paints a fairly dismal picture. So unless all the pollsters and all the psephologists and everybody is wrong, and we'll be eating a lot of crow post-election, this election looks like being written in favor of the BJP alliance. Okay,
let's go to Sanjay in New Delhi. Sanjay, is the BJP heading for a landslide victory, 272 seats, or is it more likely that they will get enough seats to form a government, but only in coalition with smaller parties?
So there is no doubt that BJP is leading ahead of all other political parties, and it is leaving behind its nearest rival, the Congress, by a big margin. But at the moment, there is hardly any chance of BJP on its own getting 272. or even the coalition getting 272 seats, the NDA coalition. I think at the most, BJP is likely to get something around 200 seats. It could be few seats less than 200 or few seats more than 200. With its allies, BJP has got a new ally in Andhra Pradesh, which is Telugu Desam Party. With its allies, BJP NDA would like to reach something around 250, 255 seats. They would still fall short of 20 to 25 seats. And if they reach 250 seats or 252 seats, I think finding those allies which bring them 25 more seats will not be difficult. So it is almost certain that India is going to have an NDA government, but it's not going to be a BJP government on its own. They would need some more allies apart from whatever they have at this moment.
Okay. Do you agree with that analysis, the way the numbers will fall?
Yeah, I think there's a pretty large consensus on that. That this will be a coalition government is all but certain. India has not had a single party government since 1984, 30 years on. So the odds of that changing are indeed very slim. The question really is, how close does the BJP get to that 272 mark on its own? A BJP with 200 seats and a BJP with 220, we're looking at very different things in terms of stability, in terms of ability to push through economic reforms and so on. So the fact that we're going to see a BJP-led government seems all but certain. The nature of that government is really where the question mark lies at this point.
But there'll have to be a lot of compromises if they are going to go into coalition with smaller parties.
Yeah, but the nature of the compromises and the degree of the compromises really depends on how close you are to the majority. The rule of thumb is the closer you are to 272, the more wiggle room you have, the more reliant you are on many, many parties, the more compromises you have to make.
So the margin of victory becomes very important. Chidanand, why is Congress doing so badly?
10 years of incumbency, and the last 5 years have been disastrous, hasn't delivered. This is a party which promised a great deal. Their first term was quite good, in fact, remarkable in some ways. But the second term was disastrous. They just completely abandoned a lot of their promises and went back to their socialist moorings. There was this heavy reliance on subsidies, on redistribution, which and taken together with the fact that there was a global slowdown didn't particularly help growth rates in India. There were just a series of terrible mistakes on the economic front, and then compounded by incredible number of corruption scandals that really destroyed the party. There was a sense of lack of decisiveness, lack of leadership, and now we have tell-all sort of memoirs coming out, which paints the Prime Minister in very poor light, that he was not assertive enough, that there were different centers of power within the Congress party. So the last 5 years, and particularly the last 2 or 3 years, have been terrible for the party. There's a complete lack of unity, lack of cohesion, even cabinet meetings where he had rivals within the cabinet who were undermining him all the time.
Okay,
so it just presented a terrible picture. And the illnesses of the illness of the Congress president, she's not particularly hands-on, has undermined the party a great deal.
Right, let's go to Sanjay in New Delhi. Sanjay, what are people talking about in India? What are the issues that they are deciding on?
See, if we look at what is damaging Congress the most, the two big issues are price rise and corruption. And when it came, and both the issues came at the same time. So the opposition, mainly the Aam Aadmi Party, the new Aam Aadmi Party, was able to make a connection. They campaigned among the people, trying to say that price rise is because of corruption. So these two things, the twin issues of corruption and price rise, has damaged the Congress most. So that is becoming a big issue. But these issues were more important few months back. When election started, like when we started moving towards election. But as we are progressing, more closer to the few remaining rounds of election, the issues of corruption and price rise have gone down. And now it's time when in different parts of the country, in different states or in different constituencies, the local issues have started coming up. So price rise and corruption, which was very big issue couple of months back, still remains an issue, but not as important as it looked 2 months back. Now these are the local issues which have taken over the whole election scene in different constituencies.
I have a question for Mr. Kumar.
Yes.
Mr. Kumar, can you hear me? This is Sadanand in the studio. Do you think, what do you think is the impact of these local issues becoming more important? Does that hurt the BJP? Does that hurt Congress? What does that mean compared to what we're seeing in the polls?
If the local issue becomes more important, then it is going to hurt the BJP most, because I think Congress has already lost its ground, and whatever support Congress has now, that support is not going to move away from Congress. Those are the Congress loyal supporters of Congress, which would be in the range of, I am expecting something about 23-24% votes for the Congress nationally. Because BJP, it is the BJP which has championed the cause of, you know, the leadership, strong leadership, price rise, corruption, and if local issues takes over all these big issues, the national issues on which BJP is trying to move its campaign, then I think it is going to damage the BJP, not the Congress.
Okay, Chidanand, you mentioned Manmohan Singh a moment ago, and I'm just wondering to what extent his leadership played a role in the bad fortunes of the Congress party right now, because there is a perception that he was out of touch with the average Indian.
Yes, I think so. That is true. But I don't know about his leadership, but his non-leadership, or his monumental silence. We used to in India, they used to joke about one of the former prime ministers, Narasimha Rao, was famous for his pregnant silences. So was Vajpayee, for that matter. He was not a very voluble person. But Manmohan Singh surpassed them all with his completely non-communicative nature, and he didn't seem to have a great deal of faith in his advisors and people around him. He just didn't come across. He just wouldn't connect. In the first place, remember, he was not even an elected member of the Lok Sabha, so there was not the kind of passion and connection with the electorate. Right. He was always elected through the upper house, the Rajya Sabha. So there was this sense of disconnect. He was not a mass-based politician. He didn't have mass support, neither in Delhi or Punjab. He actually was a Rajya Sabha MP from Assam, in the eastern Indian side. So yeah, he just failed to connect with people. He failed to communicate with people. And over the years, when he first became the prime minister, and through his years as India's finance minister, he had very good ratings. People looked at him highly as a international civil servant, an economist, prime minister. He's probably India's most best educated prime minister, actually, in the history of India.
But a technocrat in most senses.
A technocrat, but completely lacked mass connection.